Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Today is Friday, March 8th, 2019. My name is Jeremy. Oh, this is my first cup of coffee. This is my sign. I'm also starting like 2-3 minutes late um, for absolutely no good reason. Whoops. Sorry. That's warm. Let's move this blanket. Put my coffee down. Oh, it's Friday. Yay! Made it through the week. Well, most of it so far. And if you're watching, so did you. Good job. Um, yeah. So, I want to go back to bed. Not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna take a nap today. I've been taking longer naps. I mean, when I can, I've been taking 90-minute naps. When I can't, I take 20-minute naps. Sometimes multiple 20-minute naps consecutively. Those have been great. There isn't a lot special on the agenda today. Just hammering through a bunch of work. So there's really nothing interesting to talk about with that. Yesterday, had my consulting job, and then afterwards met some friends at a charity comedy event, which was great. Got to laugh, loved laughing. There was this one guy I noticed in the room. He was just kind of like off to the angle from me, and it didn't seem like he thought anything was funny. And I felt really bad for him. Here were these great comedians. I mean, they were all local comedians. This wasn't, some high-end thing. Jimmy Gaffigan wasn't there, but this was kind of a who's who of Vermont comedy. Granted, it's a small state, but they were genuinely funny people, and most of the people in the room found most of what they were saying really funny. And there were points in time where I found myself laughing at a joke and then kind of looking over at this guy and watching him just. And I couldn't tell what his deal was. It didn't. I'm guessing that since some of the comics went a little blue and, used some foul language, that he was upset about that. That's all I could come up with, because the comics were quite varied. They were quite different. The things that they made jokes about. Good morning. The things that they made comments about were there was a lot of variety, and there should have been something in here for this guy. And I think we can make an analogy between that and martial arts, that there's something in there for everybody. In any given class, if you're a good instructor, you know that some of your students like certain things more than others. Ideally, you make sure a class is constructed so that everybody has something that they enjoy, as well as something that they need to get better at, and hopefully something that they have some skill at. Because you want people to leave a class feeling like they've learned something, but they've also celebrated some successes and enjoyed some of the time training. You can't just hammer on people with the hardest things and the things that they enjoy the least every class, because you won't end up with too many people. Ego's real. So I had a question. Again, this is from last Friday's pile of questions. I'll probably pull like one or two more off this. That worked well. And it came in from Aaron, and Aaron's question was, why are some martial arts schools more like a daycare than a martial arts school? Now, I didn't have a chance to follow up with Aaron, but I'm assuming that he meant kids classes, right? And yeah, sometimes if you watch a kids class, you see a lot of games, and sometimes they're running around, and sometimes it can seem like chaos, because sometimes it's chaos, especially with younger age classes. A lot of schools will do an adult class and a kids class, and the adult class tends to be, whatever starting age up to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, depending on how they structure the school. If you've ever taught a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old, it's really different. And depending on who shows up, sometimes you gotta keep them moving. You gotta keep the chaos from overwhelming everything. And if you think about the things that people put their children in martial arts for, you can accomplish those skills, those benefits in a lot of different ways. It can be through traditional martial arts training, but let's face it, 6-year-olds don't do well traveling up and down the floor doing basics for an hour or 5 minutes. There are exceptions, but for the most part, even 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they need some variety. They need some dynamic elements. And it's hard for us sometimes, those of us who came through those kids' classes decades ago, to remember what it was like. And we have to accept that being a kid in the world today is different than it was when I was a kid. And we can debate that, we can argue whether it should be, but it doesn't really matter. The expectations of children are different now. And we have to meet people where they're at. If we don't meet people where they're at, they're not going to train with us. They're not going to get the good stuff that we have to offer them. I have a friend who runs a martial arts school locally, and he freely admits he's easier on children and promoting their rank than most people would be. His vision, what he's noticed, tends to keep them around. If they're not in class, he can't help them. He can't make them better. So he errs on the side of that line. That's not for everybody. Not everybody does that, and that's okay. That's one of the beauties of martial arts, is that because we all do things a little differently, we have the opportunity to teach a different style of class or reach a different style of student and keep them training. And it's this reason that I don't like the term McDojo. Or rather, I don't like when people say this is and this is not. I mean, conceptually, I think we can all imagine a McDojo, but our definition of a McDojo is different. And I know there are people who would call his school a McDojo. I don't. I've seen the results. I've seen the improvement that comes out of people's lives from his school. Isn't that the goal? I think that's pretty important. So when you look at the role of a martial arts instructor in kids' classes, if you were to take a survey of the parents putting their young children in classes, most of the time it's not for self-defense. Most of the time it's not for competition. It's not for anything like that. Good morning, Stacy. Most of the time, they're hoping the children will learn maybe some coordination, some physical skills, but life skills, discipline, respect, all the things that are going to translate out to the other things that they do in their lives. And you can teach that with martial arts from a very traditional sense or from a more flexible sense. You could teach that with pottery. You could teach that with anything. It's all in how you present the information and your expectation of the students. And if you think about the definition of Kung Fu, the definition of Kung Fu is mastery. When I think back to the episode where we had Sifu Jonathan Bluestein on, the author, he talked about Kung Fu being anything. He had just come in from the garden. Kung Fu can be gardening. We think of it in terms of martial arts, but it's the idea of mastering something and really living it. And I really like that definition, because I think if we apply that to martial arts and then open that definition up and apply it to life, I think there's a lot more there that we can work with. And let's face it, most of us are in martial arts classes for much more than self-defense. That's good. That's okay. That's how it should be. So, as you consider your martial arts training. I'd like you to think about what you're getting out of it, what you're getting out of it now, what you've already received from your time training, and what you hope to learn. And if you're not sure how you're going to learn those things, maybe talk to your instructor, maybe talk to your friends in class, maybe shoot me a message, leave a comment here. I don't know. Yeah. I'm headed with the team to Massachusetts tomorrow, so I'll tell you all about that on Monday. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget we do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. If you leave me a comment or a question below, I can answer it in the next episode. If you're listening on a podcast feed, cool, thank you. And you can always find the latest episode at firstcupwithjeremy.com. I thank you for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you back here